Good evening and welcome to Zoom In on a Fresh Conversation. It is Monday night all over again. I am your host, Donna Gray Banks, and we are here this evening with Reverend Dr. Wanda Cody Ross Padilla, author of books Life Begins at 70. Yay!
Yes.
Are you
Yay.
living together or dying together? And stop digging
Yay.
your grave with your teeth. I love that. Welcome.
Yes.
Welcome, Dr. Padilla, to Zoom In on a Fresh Conversation. Thank you for being here.
It is my pleasure. And thank you so much. I'm really excited about being on this show. My dear friend, Miss Watley, I saw her on. I said, "Oh, that is so awesome what Donna is doing." And she called me and said, "Hey, you want to be on the show?" I said, "Yes."
Oh, yeah, it
So
is my
I
pleasure.
thank you so much for all the work you're doing too.
Thank you so much. Zoom In on a Fresh Conversation is brought to you by Eilers Diamonds LLC, Lee's Press, my new publisher. Please, if you're looking for one, look them up. Milton McCulloch, author of Love and Emancipation, a Dante production featuring David Sylvester. If you love a saxophone, you need to be at this concert. It's at Cinematique on October the 8th at 2 p.m. Tickets are now on sale. And of course, the Fresh Book Festival, which will be held in the beautiful city of Daytona Beach, 22, 23, 24 February in the year of 2024. Now, you think that's a long way away? It's not. It is right here. So please make your reservations at the hotel and register to be with us in February 22, 23, 24 in the year of 2024. And if you have any questions for Dr. Padilla, please leave them in the chat room. And this conversation is being recorded. So welcome again, Dr. Padilla. And
Thank
please
you.
give us a brief background.
Very, very brief because I know we have a short amount of time. Time flies.
Yes, it
First
does.
of all, I want to clear up my brand name is Dr. Wanda Glamour. And the reason
Glamour.
I call myself Glamour is because I got this card from my grandson years ago that
Aww.
said, "You don't look like a grandma, you don't act like a grandma, but you sure love like a grandma."
Oh,
And then I got
nice.
this from my daughter, Carla. She sent me
Mm-hmm.
this cup. It said,
Glamour.
yeah, about 4 years ago. "I am a grandma. What's your superpower?" And she knows I like to dress up and look good. And so my brand is Glamour, and my website is drwandaglamour.com. And
What the
briefly, yeah,
glamour?
and you know, I read about old folks, us over 70, and what we do, we talk a lot. So I have to monitor it so I won't go over and just be brief about my background because if you live 80 years, you got a lot to talk about. So I'll
Right.
try to make it short. I was born and raised in Fort Pierce, Florida, and I'm living out here in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I went to Bethune Cookman College at the time. The
Woo woo.
H Yeah, I went to Bethune Cookman.
Podcast.
Loved it, loved it. In fact, I was Miss Bethune Cookman in 1963. And that was,
No.
yeah, that was quite an honor. And after graduating, I taught school for 3 years. Then I went back to school. I got a master's in counseling. Then I went back to school. I have a doctorate in public administration. I left teaching because it was just too much yada, yada, yada. And I went to work in a private nonprofit agency for 18 years that I love dearly. I left Florida in 1991. And
Mm.
you know, when you a certain age, I was divorced. I was a single mom, but the guy I was going with, they'll either keep you in town or run you out. So I ran away all the way to California to start all
Oh,
over.
the way you out. I
And
love that.
yes, a man will get you in town or out of town. So this one got me out and way to California. And I was very blessed out there. I went out there to meditate and get myself back together because I wanted to love again. I wanted to trust again. And I worked at the University of California, which was one of the best jobs ever, ever. UCLA, UC Santa Barbara,
Mm.
UC Riverside. It was the 5 southern campuses that I went each week to go and do management skills training for minority and women. That was a dream job. I love my time in California. And I tell people, I didn't say UC Irvine and UC San Diego. Yeah. The only reason I left California, I didn't like the earthquakes.
Yeah,
I mean,
well.
I
Mhm.
could not get used to that. And
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
God, send me some signs. Where should I
Get
go?
me out of here.
get me out of here. And God heard me. I got a note on my desk one morning. I came in after a night of shaking, and a note said, Jesus came by. I say, wait a minute, wait. But what it was, and that was my sign to leave. This is true story. The guy's name is Jesus. And I took it to mean Jesus, that Jesus had come by to tell me, yes, you need to leave California. And I did. That was my sign, which is interesting, but I took it as a sign. And I could have gone anywhere, but I chose Santa Fe, New Mexico, because at heart, I've always been a cowgirl. Back in the day, we used to watch the movies, and there were a lot of Black cowboy stories. And I'm an artist and I'm a writer. I love the weather. So that's why I moved out here. Um, and I went to work at the Los Alamos National Lab. I don't know if any of you have seen the movie Oppenheimer.
Yes.
I worked there. So I know all about that. I was a management skills specialist. And I knew that was not my rightful place, but it was a good job and was close to Santa Fe. And I kept asking creative, why am I here? They make bombs. I'm a peace loving, I'm a God fearing child. I found out that's where I met my soulmate. And he worked there. It came to one of my workshops, very obnoxious, was not love at first sight. But we made it because we were both on the same track spiritually, and we were both angry at the lab because there was a lot of discrimination there, and that's another long story I'm going to get into. But anyway, that was my reason for being there, and we are going on 27 years of
Oh
marriage,
my,
and so
yes.
that's and I believe you asked me that question about non-melanation. I had two gorgeous Black husbands. It didn't work out. And another long story. I'm not going to tell it.
They've been there, done
But
that.
but anyway, in my book, I talk about all of that stuff. And part of in the book, it tells about the list I made for my next husband, because I always knew I wanted another husband. I didn't fool myself. And I did not put,
I
I
didn't
put down,
ask that question, but can you, how long is the list? I want two things. I want you to talk about your consignment shopping really quickly.
oh,
And
yes.
then I want you to
Oh,
talk about the list, and then we'll get into the meat of the book and publishing it all.
consignment shopping, because I love to dress up. I got that from my mother. My mom was 17, no, 19 when she had me. She was 18, she had my brother. So she was very young. Beautiful woman. She loved to dress up and wear hats and makeup. So I got that habit from her. I like to look good and feel good, and I still do. And with consignment shopping, that's where I go, because because of who I am, I'm pretty frugal. I prefer to travel, spend my money traveling rather than buying clothes and shoes. So there's a consignment shop. I even put a name on it. It's called Buffalo Exchange. It's national, and I get all my stuff. I think the jewelry I have on now.
It's
Um,
beautiful.
yeah, and the shirt I have on now, it was from a market, Indian market, and I got that at a very good price. So looking good is possible. You have to want it. Number one. And on my vision board, I always had a picture of somebody looking good. So, and vision boards work. And
Is
having the
Buffalo
body.
Exchange online, Doctor?
Oh yeah, it's a national exchange where you can take your clothes and sell them, or you can buy clothes, and they have all kinds of one. They have a lot of glass. I love sunglasses, and we have to, the glamour girl have to wear sunglasses. I get these at Buffalo Exchange. That's one pair. And I'm like Elton John. I love sunglasses. Here's my other
I love
pair.
sunglasses too.
So that's part of the glamour legend. So met my husband there and went to work there. That's another long story I'm not going to tell, but we left there after 3 years. And then I went to work at the Santa Fe Community College. And that's where I had my first writing workshop. I knew I wanted to write, but I never gotten any training. I was always writing and writing because I love writing. And I left there and formed my own company. Was a consultant. I travel all over the world, actually, doing management skills training. And everything that I used, I put in my first book. because I use tools when I have training. I'm
Well, the
like a car.
question was, what
Mhm.
was the list that you needed to check
To
off
find,
before you
to
met
find. Okay, let me. I
this
wish you told
perfect
me.
guy?
Oh
I
God,
need
yeah.
I
Hold,
need a
if you hold,
list,
honey,
Miss
wait a
Patricia.
minute.
I need a list.
Not only do I have a list in my book, I have a letter he wrote me
Oh,
when I was acting up. I thought I gained, but I didn't change them. Let me see, where is it? I wish I'd known you wanted that
no,
list.
you know what? I didn't ask you that. It was not one of the questions. So,
No, I would love to because
mhm.
he meets every criteria. Oh, here I have the letter from my soulmate. I have that. That's an interesting letter. Um,
Because a lot of people think that once you've done it once or twice, it's never going to happen again. And so I always like to tell people never say never,
uh-uh.
because when you least expect it,
You
that
bet.
person is going to walk upon you, right?
Yeah.
And
And I did not expect to walk upon anyone. Oh, here it is. Okay,
okay,
attributes of my soulmate. He must be spiritually compatible. That's number one. And when I mentor young women, I say, please, please get someone who's involved in spirituality. Doesn't matter. You don't have to tell them what to do, but they must love God and have a spiritual path. Number one. And I said, preferably with a self realization fellowship. That's my meditation group. And number two, intelligent, wise. Number three, healthy, no disease, no illnesses, physically fit, active, bikes, hikes. And I was in my what 50s when I wrote this.
right.
Useful. Next, financially responsible. I said wealthy, but an excellent source of income. Generous, especially to me. Sensitive, caring, compassionate. Trust. That was the biggie. That's why I left Florida, because lack of trust, and I didn't want to lose that. I wanted not to lose my ability to trust again, because that's a death knell. Friendly, fun, physically attractive, a good body, physique, taller than me, older than me. Here I am, 55, 54, right? This is what I wrote. Need a good dresser. Well, he's not such a good dresser, but I help him.
Yeah.
Um, that's fine. Um, Sexually compatible after marriage only. Because I said, you keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, hopping in the bed. Hell no. So I had that as one of my criteria. And ready for a lasting relationship, good character. Do you know what I put in this book, Donna?
No, ma'am.
Because I asked God what I wanted. I said, I didn't want anybody with any ex wives and children.
Wow.
I'm serious. When you ask God for what you want, I'm serious. And I manifested that. My girlfriend, Pat, will tell you. He marries me, provides for us a lovely home, great transportation, furnished, good scenery, surrounding, close to work, loves to travel. We travel and have lots of fun, is courageous, loves my children and my family. And I'm telling you right now, the only thing I did not put on there was what ethnicity he must be. That wasn't important for me at this stage of my life, because I had gone through that with the Nation of Islam. I was Sister Wanda X for 5 years. So I had my catharsis with my anger. I got rid of that, went back to my spiritual roots, and began to love everybody. So color wasn't an issue. And
Mm.
here he is. He is Hispanic by ethnicity, and he is part Irish. And there's a picture of him right there. Can you see that?
Yeah, he's handsome. All right now.
Yeah. 27 years, he met the criteria. My girlfriend, Pat Watley, knows him. He loves Pat. Okay, we visited and loves my children. They call him Papa Pat. And my mom really loved him. So that's the list, Donna.
Now, when they say you should be very specific, you were very specific.
Hey, I was gonna keep getting married, and I don't want, I just it had to be the last one. And three was the charm. The
Mm.
first one was my high school sweetheart, and that didn't last. Less than a year actually. And then my kid's dad, we just were not compatible, yada yada. And that lasted 7 years. So I was a single mom dating, and that was a trip. I could tell stories about that
Right,
and
I
stuff.
bet.
And I write about that in my book about relationships. And I talk to young women about what I've learned. And you know what, Donna? The
Hmm.
times we are in are very special,
Yeah.
because people might call me woo woo, but we're going from one age to another.
Yes.
This is the age where soulmates are coming together. This
This
is
is
the
what they
time.
call the dawning of the age of
It,
Aquarius.
you got it, Donna.
You're in
Because
it. We're in it. It's on its way. I'm telling you. You got,
yeah.
yeah.
And my kids have always told me I was ahead of the time. I became a vegetarian in my 30s. I went to India and I started meditating and things that people are doing now. And I love it. And doing affirmations and manifesting and vision boards. I did all of that. And you know what, Donna? It
Mm.
works.
Well, I
It
mean, it's really funny that the Fringe of Distinction did that song 40 years ago, 50 years ago.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
dawning of the age of Aquarius.
Yeah.
And
Here we
and
are.
yeah, and this lady is my spiritual mother.
And she is,
She passed away,
I'm
but her
sorry.
name is the Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman. And I that's what I got into spiritual. I got back into spirituality after leaving the Nation of Islam. I had to go back to my roots. But anyway, I became an ordained minister. We are what
Mhm.
you call metaphysicians
Okay.
underneath the yeah. And that's how I studied the Bible. That's how I read to get the good meaning. And inside the book that I wrote, which I'll be giving you a synopsis of, this book here,
Mm-hmm. Are
and
you
this book,
living? Uh-huh. Yeah.
yeah, this book, I don't, can you see this? It's looking backwards to me.
Well, it is backwards to you, but it's okay
Oh, it's
for
not,
us.
oh, not to you though.
Yeah, right.
Hey, okay,
It's
okay.
okay.
Pardon the
That's, yeah,
80-year-old
that's okay.
grandma.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
what this says, I'm glad it's good for you. And
Uh-huh.
my publisher urged me to send my book to this New Mexico Arizona Book Awards, and I sent it. And they had over 18,000 submissions. My book was a finalist, one of the finalists. And,
Wow.
and that gave me a lot of courage because that was my first book that I ever written. And if we're going to talk about writing,
So
my
first
first,
we're going to take your journey for vegan, your vegan journey.
oh,
Let's
I
talk
love
about that
that.
first. So,
That's a, yeah.
yeah,
Please
that's
keep me on track
it's all
because
right. It's all right. Yeah, it's okay.
I
So
love it because like
I'm gonna put
like
you black on gallery mode. So
yeah.
tell me, unpack your vegan journey because I'm really kind of almost there. I only eat chicken and salmon. And so what was the pivotal moment that you
I'm
gave up
gonna
meat? You just gave up meat.
let me tell you why.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, like I said, I was a vegetarian
Yes.
in my 20s. I went to
Now
India.
a vegan
A
doesn't eat
vegan is
anything with
not a
eyes.
vegetarian.
Right. It doesn't eat anything with
I had
eyes.
no intentions
Okay.
of becoming vegan because vegans
Okay.
used to annoy me. You go out to eat with a vegan. Oh, is that cheese? Is that butter? Is that cream? Is that this? Is that? I say, go home. You know, being a vegetarian was much easier. But anyway, let me tell you the story. The elevator, which only is short. My husband, Hispanic, appetite and food was atrocious. You
Mm.
know, you can't change anybody's eating habits.
Hmm.
Even though I'm a vegetarian, he was a rancher. He was a rancher. He's an engineer.
So he's a
He just
meat eater.
oh my God. Have you ever heard of
Yeah.
menudo?
Yes.
It's like chitlins for black folks.
Yes.
And he loved his menudo, put butter in it. So I prayed, honestly. I'm a prayer. And that was the thing that I didn't like, but I knew I couldn't handle it. You know, and he's not perfect, but I said I could maybe by example. Okay. And I prayed to God again. I take everything to God. God is my
Everything.
go
Hmm.
through. I'm serious. My go to. I said, okay, God, help me with this guy. I found out that he had high cholesterol. I said that was one thing I didn't put on my list. Check the cholesterol level. So I did not do that. Well, that was fine. We were traveling in Florida. He was eating
Hmm.
his cheese, eating all the stuff that you need to eat it. And I was too, but he ate more than I did. And his bad habits, because he had been a bachelor for a long time, cooking for himself. Long story short, he had a very serious heart attack in Florida. We were on vacation.
Ooh. Ooh.
And Donna, I tell you, God is my partner. It happened in Fort Pierce. We were on the way to visit my daughter in Miramar, and he said, "Take me to the hospital." I didn't know what was wrong. I took him.
Wow.
I took him, and two men had to help bring him into the emergency room. Okay. Again, long story. They
Wasn't
worked
it
on him.
nice that you were on friendly fire territory, though, right? Yeah,
Yeah, I knew what a hospital
yeah,
was.
yeah.
So you talk about serendipity. You talk about no accidents, which is true. There are no accidents.
There is
God
not.
did this. So the way it was lined up,
Hmm.
he was on this. He was on the table, and do you know he flatlined? He actually died on the table. Okay. I went
Hmm.
hysterical. I yelled, I screamed, I said, God, what are you doing? I mean, I had a talk, and then the people started pumping him because they saw I was going crazy. Let me do something for this man. And then they gave him shots. And then
Oh yeah.
after a while, they said, beep, 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 beep.
Oh.
I said, thank you, God, because
Ah.
I mean, it would have been, and then I meant, oh, that's a
Yeah.
whole, but
Yeah.
anyway, okay. We got in touch with our primary care physician. I called him, true story. He answered the phone. How many doctors answer the phone?
None.
He we love him. He's a
None.
he's a young Jewish guy that had married a Mexican woman. So we had a lot in common. We used to talk about politics and all of that. But anyway, he knew Pat had this issue with his heart. He said, take him to the emergency. No, not emergency. He was there. He said, come in here as soon as you get back to Florida. And I had to drive all the way back. He spent 5 days in intensive
Intensive
care.
care. Uh-huh.
And another side story with this, a Jamaican maid was there. She saw me sitting there in the lobby. It was only us, it was a Friday night. And the top cardiologist, Dr. Zazani, was there that night. Okay.
Mm,
And he took care of him. And
mm.
this Jamaican woman and I, she prayed with me, Donna. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, in this new age coming up, people have got to get spiritually right, got to have spiritual principles. And I've had principles all of my adult life since I was a
Mm-hmm.
teenager. This is
Mm-hmm.
nothing new to me. I go right to God. And she and I prayed. And then I saw the doctor. It was about an hour later. I said, go in there and see if he's still alive. But they were doing something to him. And so she came out, yeah, he's okay, he's alive. And then maybe a half hour later, the doctor came out. You know what he said to me?
Mm.
He said, Mrs. Padilla, I don't know who his God is. His artery was 99% clogged. And they put stents in. And I knew what the clogging was for from the years of eating meat, butter, all the crap that we don't eat now. Cut it short, going back to getting back to Santa Fe. We went to the doctor. He gave me a piece of paper. He said, Wanda, get the book, get the DVD, and do it. And the book was called Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease.
Mm.
And the book by Dr. Caldwell Essenstein. And the book is my Bible now because what it was, plant-based eating. And I am what you call a plant-based warrior. I talk about it to people who are interested. I don't talk to people that they're not interested about what they eat. You just don't do that. But in that book, it said what we are not to eat, no meat, no butter, no dairy, no eggs, all of that, which is what I was eating. Cheese, because I'm vegetarian. I said, oh my God. And so my husband wanted to live, okay? Because I told him jokingly, because we have a lot of land out here together. I was blessed. We have over 300 acres on our ranch. I was blessed, okay?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
I said, and his family is kind of funky. So I said, if you don't live, if you die, I'm gonna give all your land to your family. I'm not gonna try to keep nothing. And he worked up. I told him that was his motivation to live, and
Right, exactly.
I said, I'm not fighting anybody in court. I'm giving it all away because that's who I am anyway. I'm not gonna be bothered with ownership. He went 100% on this program. And I said, this is the deal. I will prepare the meals for you and I will go vegan with you if you stay on this program. But if you go out and cheat on this stuff and don't do it, I'm done. That was our agreement.
Yeah. Okay.
And in this same book, it had 250 recipes. And I started cooking.
Mm.
And Donna, I'm telling you, I have all this stuff in the back of my books. You couldn't pay me. I mean, if somebody had steaks and ice cream and cheese and butter, And if you don't eat this, you're gonna die. You know what? Right now, I would prefer just die. I'm not going to eat that stuff anymore. It's been almost what 12 years. He's in good shape. There he is. I mean, we're out on the ranch now. He's out there with the chainsaw, and we hike, we bike, and ski. Good shape because he is in it 100%.
Mm.
Because he had you. I couldn't have made him do that.
No, no.
No. So the doctor that we both loved was able to tell him, me, just do it, and that's what made him change, and I changed. He lost the first couple of months 60 pounds, and his cholesterol level and heartbeat, all that stuff is very good. I lost 20 pounds. So people think I've been this size all my life, but I've always wanted to lose 20, 25 pounds as a
Right, right.
teenager. As a teenager, adolescent, I remember when I was 7 and 8. My thighs were so big, they would rub together. You hear me? So I was overweight, and I don't want people to think I was this size all the time. But
Mm-hmm.
changing, I lost 25 pounds. And I love the way I look now. I love the way I feel. And you know what? I want everybody to look and feel as good
Yeah.
as I'm serious. And this is my passion, Donna. That's why I wrote the book, the vegan book, which is this book here. I don't
Eating.
have any.
Yeah.
Yeah, stop digging your grave with your teeth.
Right.
I don't have any hard copies because I sold all the ones I had. And you asked
Mm-hmm.
me why did I go ebooks? The guy who was my publisher, my books are self-published. They
Right.
weren't published. And if I started printing my own books, there's more money. I got
Right.
to ship them. And do I get them Amazon? So I lost interest in even promoting the book. Here it is, 2023. My award was given to me in 2012 and 2013, and the timing wasn't right. And
Right.
now that there's ebooks, and I did research online, Amazon will do ebooks. You can publish your book on the ebook. Just Google it, and it can be done. And so the guy that was working with me that got me to do my books, I give him gratitude for helping me finish my books. But he put it on my website, and I want to promote my website because that's how you get my ebooks. You can buy right there, PayPal, and the other ways you can use it. And I have a synopsis of all the books, and I have a free book that if anyone goes to this is you asked, was I writing again? I have a
Yes.
free book, and this is it, because the glamour stuff is nice and cool, but hey, Wanda, come on. So this book is called Wisdom and Grace: Life Coaching from an Elder African American Glamour. And
Okay.
this book is on my website. It is free. Okay, it is free. And it talks about all kinds of things you need to know that are good for you to know, um, as you age. And I don't like and I'll tell you what happened with me with age. I
What's
don't
that?
believe I don't believe in it. That's when I wrote my books. But the contents, the importance of wisdom and grace
Mm.
in senior years, um, embracing career choices, networking and mentoring opportunities, relationship coaching for African American couples in their golden years. Whole lot of stuff, supporting each other, navigating health challenges, um, a deeper connection with spirituality, exploring different spiritual beliefs, all the stuff
Mm.
that I honestly use. And this one is free if they go to my website. And my
And what's
other
the
my
website again? Repeat it.
yeah, very easy. Remember, I'm glamour, right? My
Right.
website, unapologetically.
Yeah, right. Listen.
Yeah. www dot dr for doctor, Wanda, WNDA, glamour.com. Yeah,
Mm.
it's on my website, www dot dr Wanda, WNDA, glamour, and here's my card. Yeah, here it is, glamour.com.
So, so
www.
let's okay, so let's look at the books individually.
Yes, yes, that's a good thing.
First,
Okay.
let's look at Life Begins at 70. Did you
Yes.
actually write the book when you turned 70 or after you turned 70?
You know what that book was?
No.
I wrote that book as a gift for my people that came to my birthday party. It's a small book. But it contains a lot of stuff. And I actually gave them that gift when I had my 70th birthday party, which was, over 10 years ago. And I gave it to them. And I liked it so much, I started marketing it. And it's on my website. And that's the cover of that book. And 70 is the new 40. Now, let me tell you about aging. When you go to my website, www.drwandaglamour.com, what I'm saying on that website is I have cracked the aging code. People online have been talking about cracking the aging code. Mm-hmm. Well, this new age stuff, we can do this now. I mean, it's a choice. We're not bound by genetics or because my mama was fat and my dad was fat. That's called epigenetics. You can look that word up. That's when people think they inherit stuff. With the new age that we're shifting into, and a lot of people are in it already in another dimension. Mm-hmm. And I've studied the masters of wisdom of the Far East. And you can fact check me. This book here, I read it early. Life Teachings of the Masters of the Far East. I cracked the aging code. And there's this page in here that when I had my study group, it says about youth. Youth is God's seed planted in the human form. Youth is the divinity within man's life. Okay, so you know what they said about aging, and I believed them. Not only them, but on my website, where I first got my inspiration before I got to be all spiritual and stuff,
right.
Lena Horne.
Oh, yeah, Lena.
Now, the young folks may not know her, but she was gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
And she was like 70 something. And I remember an interview I saw about her. And they asked, well, how do you look so young? Look at you. Your skin. She said, darling.
Yes.
Yes. When I was in my 20s, looking all glamorous, when I was in my 20s, I started preparing for middle age.
Wow.
And I was in my 20s when I saw that. So here I am, this little small town girl, all gullible, believing stuff that people say. I believed her. So that was my first in my mind. That's what's happening in the new era that we're in. And I teach in my books, one of the things, universal laws and principles. What you believe, it happens. It's all scripture.
Oh, okay. Absolutely. Absolutely. Something happened. I will talk about it at the end, but something happened to me over the weekend. Is, the power of the tongue is very powerful.
Now keep me on top, Doc, when I'm talking.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
Okay. And let me tell you
that life begins at 70.
Okay. Now this book, and I have this card in it, and I've had this card on my mirror in my bathroom.
I look
I look at it every day. And when I had a study group, this is a card I made for them. Okay. And this card says, from this book, fact check me. It says, age is unspiritual. It's mortal. It's unreal. Fear, pain, anger, and grief thoughts create the ugliness called old age. Okay? And the second part, and I put it on my mirror and I gave it to my students, joyous thoughts, love thoughts create beauty called you. And me being open-minded, and so, like I believe Lena Horne, I believe these masters of the wisdom, because these people in the Far East, they were walking through walls. And if anyone goes to that study, I've been to India, and they're doing things that we're just now learning with quantum physics. It's just and then with my meditation.
And mind over matter. The mind being
Donna, you got it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Because I did my inner work, long for years. And I keep this I did this years ago. My book is falling apart. So I began, like Lena said, in my 20s and 30s, okay? And all this stuff came to me because that's what I asked God. I want to be like you, Lena. I want to look good like you when I'm in my 70s. Now, this is the one from my meditation teacher.
Okay.
And he wrote the book, Autobiography of a Yogi. All the hippies were reading that book in the 60s. and I was kind of a hippie. Yeah, I did all the stuff that hippies do. I was kind of a wild child.
I
And
wasn't a
feel
hippie,
good.
but I did all the things that hippies.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
one good thing about the hippies is that they got into meditation because
Yes.
their lives were chaotic. So I followed the hippies and I got with Paramahansa Yogananda. This is the highlight, the takeaway, because I want this youth, I want this energy, I want this vitality, I want to look good. And this is what other thing, I got 3 cards on my window, on my mirror. This is what he says, and to affirm it, because you're working with your subconscious. I teach all of that stuff and it's in my books. These are the tools. Everything I talk about, Donna, I use and still use. Okay, I'm an example. I don't want to teach anymore. I don't want no classes. I don't want no church. I don't want no following. I just want to do ebooks and have a good time. Okay, this is what it says. O eternal youth of body and mind, abide in me forever. My Indian guru who wrote Autobiography of a Yogi, fact check this person, fact check this other book. Because when I'm saying, I'm not only giving you research, I studied all this stuff because that's what I wanted to experience in my life. That's what I wanted to be like. And
Yes.
I don't take, my God, you go on my web, I don't take any medicines. I none, and just in good shape. I'm, 80 is kind of up there. And
Dr. Johnny from Birmingham, Alabama.
Dr. Johnny, my teacher.
Yes.
What did you say?
Was he from Birmingham, Alabama?
Oh, my teacher. No, Johnny Coleman is from, and a lot of people probably know her.
Okay.
She's from Chicago, Illinois. And I got my ministerial training under her. It was called the Johnny Coleman Theological Seminary. And you had to study 2 years. And you had to study another 2 years to become a licensed teacher.
Okay.
And the thing
That
that
was
I
a
want
question in the chat room. Was she from
oh
Birmingham?
no. And this Johnny has passed on.
Okay.
But her legacy lives. You can go online. And the 3 things I learned from her, among a lot, 3 things: study.
Yes.
And that's scripture. Study and show yourself improved.
Right.
Pray. Because prayer works.
Every time.
And meditate. Go into the stillness. If you don't know how to meditate, their meditation teachers, it's all over. Mother Nature is being rough on people today because there are no more excuses for people being, I'm serious.
Yeah.
And Reverend Ike was one of my teachers years ago.
He was.
Do you know Reverend Ike?
Oh, I think we all know Reverend.
I know. And I went to New York to visit Reverend Ike. Reverend Ike said, hey, the best way I can help the poor is not being one of them. Right. I said, you got that right. But the point is, we had to change our concept about money. Right. And once you do it, the law of attraction, I teach that. All that stuff is in my book. Everything. And the reason I wrote my first book, The True Story, is for my children as a legacy.
Upside down.
Yeah.
It's upside down.
Oh, oops. Right. This book was a legacy for my children. Okay. Because you can't preach to your children. Right. My daughter is a lawyer and she knows it all. Yeah. My son is all this. He's a businessman. He knows it all. And I do learn from him. But in the back of my book, Dr. Wanda Ross Padilla, my life today is amazing. I'm a successful woman who finally found my soulmate and a life of peace and harmony, even in these chaotic times we're living in. It wasn't all this way. In this book, I tell my personal story in my own down-to-earth way. I tell you the healing journey I made from the legal racism of the South. I had domestic violence I witnessed in my home as a child. We had poverty. I was sexually abused from a friendly neighbor, and I had a lot of toxic relationships. I personally experienced and I witnessed people who developed all kinds of sicknesses and emotionally and physically. Many died because of these things that they went through. So today, as a holistic coach, in this easy to read book, I give all the resources, 7 powerful tools that I still use in my practice and in my own to get the amazing life I have, as well as the lives of my clients. If I can do it, you can do it. And I want people, and I don't do any of this stuff for money, but the law is if you do what you love, that will follow. So what I want people to do, become your own life coach.
Right.
You don't have to, you could, if you really, really, really way out there. I value therapy,
Right.
but I did my own self-help, and we're in the era of self-help. You go online right now, they talk about depression, they talk about everything. Everything's
Everything.
there.
Everything. Everything.
And
Uh,
see,
uh,
that's why people are experiencing so many traumatic experiences, because nature and mother is we got to get it together, okay?
yeah.
Because it's the law of the circle. What we put out there, that's one of the laws I teach, comes back on us.
The
The
circle
law
of
of
life.
That's
Cir-
right.
The
And
circle.
if we've been putting out, and you said it about your words,
Yes.
your
Powerful.
thoughts, you will bring these things into existence. And you know how hard that is to change your thoughts, to
Oh
stop
yeah.
being judging, and stop being angry, and to stop judging people and gossiping. Do you know how hard that is?
It is. It is.
Nobody ever said the spiritual path was easy.
Right.
And most people don't do it because of spiritual laziness.
Mm.
We People have got to have a consistent spiritual practice. And my husband and I, honestly, and I'm just telling you the truth, what God sent me, we
Mm-hmm.
study every morning from several spiritual books. I don't belong to any organization now, because I know it's not about religion. All religions are the same. But what I learned, there is no religion that's big enough to hold God. So
That's
I've
no.
and in my and you asked me about my practices.
Right.
I've I yes, I went from being a Muslim, I went to being a Baha'i, I went to becoming science of mind, I went to unity. And do you know what I'm studying now that I love?
Mm.
Kabbalah.
Kabbalah is
Jewish mysticism.
okay.
Because I'm a metaphysician.
Okay.
I'm a mystic. In fact, some of my friends call me woo woo, but that's okay. Woo woo works. But just Google it, because Kabbalah is not like it used to be. Used to be you had to be a man over 40, you had to be married, and
Mm-hmm.
Jesus was a rabbi, and this is the path that the old prophets took, and you couldn't study it. But now it's
Right.
Kabbalah is everything is open now. And I started studying Kabbalah, my husband and I, maybe 7 years ago. And if I ever joined a organized religion, I
It
would
would
go
be
to the,
that.
oh
Mm-hmm.
my God,
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing, the principles, because it comes from the prophets. And there's a set of books called the Zohar. The first time it's been in English. That's why my kids keep telling me, oh, you far out there, you're ahead of everybody. I said, that's fine, because I asked for it. We have the first set of books. My husband and I, we bought them on our bookshelf, because the Zohar was in Hebrew, but
Right.
this it's in English. And every morning we study. Oh my goodness! Don't let me get started. I just want people to Google this stuff, and to start doing the study, do the research. In the back of this book, the first book I wrote, because I want people to become their own coaches. I put down every reference,
Mm.
every resource I went to. I tell you one thing, I love school.
I
Every
see.
every every chapter, several pages. And so, and then an index how to find it. All
Okay.
of that in my first book. And
I want to get to, and it wasn't one of your questions, but because if I go more than an hour, it won't go up on Instagram, and I want this to go up on Instagram. So tell me your skin regimen, because your skin is absolutely beautiful.
thank you, Donna. I work at that. I
Okay.
start. I told you, when I was a teenager, I had a beautiful mom, and she taught me how to take care of my skin. Never go to bed with any makeup on. I clean
Right.
my skin every night.
Yeah, me too. Mhm.
And I use a little. I'm frugal,
I'll
because
I'll wake up to wash my face if I fall
hey,
asleep with makeup on.
Donna, it's a habit.
It's a
And
habit.
I wish sometime I didn't have that habit, but
Right.
sometimes I'm so sleep.
Yeah.
I'm going in there scrubbing my face
Yeah.
because I use an abrasive thing to remove
Okay.
the stuff. And
Hmm.
after that, a toner, witch hazel. And I don't spend a lot of money on my stuff. I get my stuff from Walmart.
Okay.
Okay, I spend my money traveling. I don't spend money in clothes and shoes and all that stuff.
Witch hazel. Wow, I haven't heard that in 100
You haven't
years.
heard, you know witch hazel. It
Yeah, I
works.
absolutely do. Yeah.
And you do that, and then in Walmart they got this little bottle of and I'm in the Southwest where it's dry.
Right.
Um, so my girlfriend's husband was a pharmacist, but in Florida he taught me about jojoba oil,
Oh, okay.
jojoba oil, and so even in Florida, I didn't add that to my regimen. I just told, but after you do the witch hazel, pat that little jojoba oil around, and you think
Hmm.
because our skin is oily, especially in the South, it's bad. But me and my girlfriend Audrey, we did the hobo all around my eyes and all over, and kind of jotted. So, but out here in the Southwest where I am, it's dry. So the little bottle I bought in Walmart
Hmm.
was for nighttime, and nighttime is rich. But I said I'm not gonna, because that's my girlfriends out here now. They're mostly Indians and white women. You ought to see their skin.
I know. Right.
It'll make you cry.
I
Some
know.
I hadn't seen in 5 years. And I don't say anything. And, they say, how do you do that? But the thing I learned from one of the movie stars, I think it was, and I learned it out here in New Mexico, because I had an autoimmune disease that many people may have heard of it. It's lupus.
Yes.
And it took my hair out.
Hmm.
And as a little girl, I had long hair and all that stuff. But
Hmm.
yada yada, long story. I got a good doctor. They sent me to a dermatologist, and I got tested, and it wasn't the life-threatening lupus. And they treated me, and the symptoms are gone. But what I learned then, I had to use sunscreen every day.
Every day.
And the dermatologist was culturally proficient. Here I am, a Black woman in New Mexico, not many of us out here. And he brought me this book with Black people. And he said, here are Black people with the disease that you had. And this is what you got to do. You've got to use sunscreen every day, whether it's light or dark. And so I said, I'm outdoors a lot. I hike, I ski. He said, well, get the 50. And I'm telling you, when I do my stuff, before I put
Make one.
my cream on,
Hmm.
I put my sunscreen every day. So I want my melanated sisters to do research. You got to use sunscreen. I mean, I've done it, and it's not just for white folks. And I do it
Mm.
every day. And then the movie star, I think it was Jennifer Aniston. She's the one that says, "Oh yeah, I use sunscreen every day." Because you go to she sealed it for me, because I admire people that look good and I
Right.
listen to them.
Right.
And she told me, and that sealed it. So I've been using sunscreen every day, and I got my husband using it, yada yada. And then I put the cream on, which is for night cream, but I
Right.
use it during the day,
Okay.
and that's it. Now since COVID, I take walks every day, so I'm out in the sunshine. I'm getting fresh air. So that I think that's helped my skin even better. I've gotten even,
Mm.
and I stopped using uh makeup. I put some on for this show, but I don't really, and it's light, because it's too hot. But that's it.
Wow,
And
that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
but Donna,
Yeah.
the reason it has to be consistent.
Right.
You can't go to bed with your makeup
No,
on
you
and
cannot.
eye stuff. You got to clean your skin and tone it with. I use witch hazel, and it's all in the drugstore.
Yeah.
So that's what I do, and I'm into. If you see my pictures on my website, you see me with 3 different wigs on, and my short one is for my professional look. The one I with the
Mhm, we see it behind you.
Yeah. This is
Yes,
more
very
my
nice.
that wig. Yeah,
Yeah, it's very
that
nice.
makes it a little more graceful. But that's why I do my hair like this, and I can't even get the braids. It just don't look right because I my hair came out. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
no, I understand. We do an event here for alopecia awareness. And
Oh,
so yeah, it was last weekend. And so I'm very I had alopecia nervosa at one time. And so there's so many layers of it. And anyway, it's 8:54. I just, we need to have you back because you have such a vast and wide background that we haven't even touched in this hour that we've been on.
I knew it, I
You know,
knew it.
I mean, and we didn't
Hey,
even talk about any of the questions. I think I got 7 questions that we never got there.
and
So
I answered all your questions. I was ready for you. Okay, Donna.
I know. We'll have to have you back. But
Well,
please, we ask each of our guests uh for a pearl of wisdom. And so I need that from you now. Thank you everybody for being here. There's so many questions. They loved you. They loved this interview. And if you'll give me a pearl of wisdom, I promise you before the end of the year, you will be back to give us more
thank
pearls
you.
of wisdom. Thank you so
Thank you. My pearl of wisdom came from a nun.
much.
I
Okay.
went to a workshop,
Okay.
and she said this. She said, "You know, when you go to heaven, St. Peter's gonna," and she was very,
Yeah.
you know what St. Peter's gonna ask you? Did you have a good time?
Right? I love that.
Okay. So that's if it ain't fun, if I'm not enjoying it, that's my pearl of wisdom. The second one, which is really serious, planet Earth is a school. We came here to learn. There are rules and there are things that you need to learn, and it's all in books, it's online, it's everywhere. And I write about them, I teach it. Learn the rules of living because it's a school. And I'm not better than anybody else. It's
Mm,
just like someone that went to school and they're in third grade, fourth grade. Well, I've been going to this kind of school for years.
right.
It doesn't make someone a college graduate better than someone who's a third grader. So sometimes with the spiritual work and practices, a lot of people don't do it like I recommend because it's
Mm.
fun. I have a good time.
Have a good
And
time while you're here because you're not,
yes, ma'am.
you may come back, but you're not going to come back the person that you were here for first time.
Thank you. You got
You're
it.
going to
So
be different. And so we must go. And we will have you back. So when the lights go out and the cell phone towers go down, all you have left is a flashlight and a good book. Thank you, Dr. Padilla, for being with
yeah.
us this evening and everybody on the show this evening. Thank you very, very much. And we'll see you next Monday night at 8 o'clock. Good night.
Okay. Good night. Thank you, Donna.
Thank you.